This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library.
You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price you can get Truefire All Access for.
Okay, it's been a really busy week for me in terms of trying to check out and show the world some of these features of the Helix Stadium. And I've been, just today I started doing some A/B tests and playing around with some other modelers. There's another release coming next week. I've been messing about, diving through menus, touch screens, firmware updates, checking out different pieces of software for bits and pieces. So like installing drivers, all of this sort of stuff, which actually, sometimes I step back and I think, that's not really much guitar playing you're doing with that stuff there. And I sometimes think maybe it's fair to ask, sorry to anyone who's, totally digital, is sometimes this like a bit of a waste of time? Because I particularly get asked all of the time, do you think I should get X and Y? Or I'm coming from an amp, what would be the best modeler? And sometimes I think the answer is like, just pick one and go with it. Sometimes I think the answer is, look, if you're looking for something to entirely replace your amp, I think you might be disappointed if you're really someone who knows amps either very well or, have used them a lot. Equally, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of you who, like me, a digital modeler actually fits into your lifestyle and your life so much better that it's kind of like, well, I'd so much rather be playing through some of this digital gear. Some of these amps really don't work for me sometimes. But in this video, I wanted to kind of just look at an amp and admire what there is to not update about it. So first of all, with the amp, I kind of think it's got something, I was playing with a vinyl player earlier in the week as well, and this kind of, the physical is a real thing, right? Like the actual feeling, like when Elodie comes in here, she'll turn knobs, if she sees a pedal, she'll press the switch on it. Like, there is something physical about humans, right? And I think that also comes down to the sound of being, or the experience of being in a room surrounded by reflections. One of the things that happens in a space without reflections is things start to sound a bit unnatural because you don't get the echo that happens after them from the space that you're in. I think this was like the revelation of the Boss Waza, where it's like, okay, we're going to put you in a virtual space. You can move around this virtual space. I still think that's like the best headphone experience I've ever had. When I plug into it and just play, it's like an immediate thing. Not all of these are good things. But I feel very, very connected to what is happening behind me because it's sort of in my ears. If I absolutely hammer some awful stuff, it's there happening to me. And you know, equally, one of the kind of things that I find to be sometimes a bit negative, so here's like a little bit of a clip where you're going to hear like an amp with a mic in front of it, and then just a Tone Master Pro, I think. The thing is that depending on where my mic ends up going, I can get a totally different kind of response. For instance, this. But that is also part of the beauty of this thing, where it's like, well, I've made a choice, I've stuck with it, and in a world of like AI and stuff like that, this, I think, is quite a beautiful thing in some way. But when I go over to the computer, what happened here is going to be gone. Like what I experience right now playing in the room is going to be pretty much nothing like what the SM57 picks up. It'll be something different, and it might even be good still, but it will be very different. that's one of the things that I kind of like about the consistency of digital modeling, is that when I plug my guitar into that interface over there, there'll be good days and there'll be bad days, but the tone will be consistent. Each day, moving this microphone, something very different will happen, and that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes, right? One other thing that sort of is good and bad about the amp experience is that it's kind of very tied to volume unless you use something like a load box. I think load boxes can, to some extent, interfere with, you know, tone and elements of the experience. I think there is something about having just a mic in a room with an amp that is part of the thing. And once you get into this load box realm, that is really where I felt like, actually, when I then compare an amp to a digital modeler, there's actually, share the cab the same. Sometimes I do think actually digital in that case is just about as respectable. But if I'm at a lower volume, you know, can I make something happen here? I slam the front of the amp. But I do find that there is this different feeling that I get when I'm just plugged into that, and that might be, you know, one of these things where, like, you think about the difference between going and listening to Spotify versus if you had a vinyl of like Live and Dangerous and you put it on and you sat there and had that experience. Is that what people are really getting out of the amp experience? Because I see it all the time where like people just comment saying nothing beats analog. Okay, it's still not like an amp. Are we kind of wasting our time and sort of chasing our tails here if we continue down that road of thinking like one is totally replacing the other? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.